happened. And then I go look for it. So I feel like it's a funnel. You get something and go, oh, is this real? And then you can, if you want to dig down, you can dig down to find it, can't you?
Yes, I can, but I tend to lean more towards like independent reporters.
Oh, yes.
I love them. I love the work that they do, and I feel like they're not always appreciated for the work that they do, their reporting. And Larry, I even watch your stuff. Like that, what you're doing is independent reporting. You know that. It's mixed with a bit of humor. It's mixed with, both funny and reality. And I like that. I'm like, I wish that we had more of, platforms like yours, streaming on.
Let me take advantage of that. She's right. So everyone, do what she says and click the like button. She's right. You got to like guys like me. Exactly right. And I'm good looking on top of it. So you get all of those good things. So please do that. If you're watching on Twitter, please retweet this. It does matter. If you want to support the channel, you can always do a super chat if you want to. That's always an option for you. And last, if you want to become a member, please become a member if you can. Click that join button. It does matter. Absolutely. And speaking of independent media, I'm going to bring somebody else on. Another independent media. This guy's been doing independent work for like as long as Latina's been around, 22 years. So yeah, as long as that is, yes, that's how long he's been doing it. He is my returning champion, the man himself, Michael Voss. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm really happy to be part of the crowd here, especially on this topic. I love this. News media, entertainment. Oh, absolutely, they are entertaining. Not in a happy way. Hi, Lattina. Hello, Clark. Good to meet you for the first time. Let's jump in.
So Clark, tell me, can't we dig in if we want to? I mean, can't we? Isn't it in a way? While there's part of it that's worse, right? To Latina's point, but isn't a part of it better? In that once I get that talking head, I now can dig as deep as I want, can't I? To get that independent.
Oh, you bet. But that's for people who make a practice of critical thinking, and most people don't. Most people don't want to do the hard work of acquiring new knowledge, perhaps even knowledge that contradicts their priors, and then processing that to figure out, how to update their worldview. One of the best things I've ever heard, by the way, was a good friend of mine who's a philosophy professor, and we teach together sometimes. And one thing he'll often say to an audience when he first meets them is, look, I have many beliefs. I know that some are mistaken, but I don't know which ones. How many people do you know who really embrace that worldview and think about how humble you have to be and how willing you have to be to do the hard work of critical thinking? Because if you're not willing to do those things, and most people aren't, what use do you really have for news or for accurate news? Why not just get the dopamine hit from an entertainer?
Well, you brought the piece up that I talked about earlier, which I think is an issue, which I try to do. So thank you, Latina, for saying what you said. I try my best to not have a screen filled with libertarians, right? I'm clearly libertarian. Clearly I am. I wear it on my sleeve. It's obvious, right? But if all I'm going to do is sit here and just talk only to the libertarians, well, then there's 80,000 podcasters already. I'm the guy who's talking to all types of people and trying to have that conversation. And I feel like I don't grow as fast. To your point, Clark, I don't think I'm giving out enough dopamine.
Well, let's think about what we're seeing right now. We have a society, we have an education system that's been training kids for a long time to do three things. One, less and less information and critical thinking to go along with it. More of an echo chamber to go into that, and more feelings rather than facts. And this was exemplified.
I'm gonna say and on that. I'm gonna add one more thing. The idea that obeying and obedience is in of itself good.
Well, that comes with the lack of critical thinking. If you can't think about anything, you have no choice but to obey. If you don't know anything, you have no choice but to obey. And I think that's really been big. And I think we saw the major change. I mean, there's always been, since about the 90s or so, we started seeing that change when we saw Clinton going and appealing to voters, going onto MTV with a saxophone, and that was his appeal.
I remember
the saxophone.
I thought that was cool. I was guilty of that. I really did think that was cool. Yeah, he was on Arsenio Hall. I was like, see, Latina, she's smiling. She thought it was cool too.
It was, but it just degenerated the entire, the presence of the White House fell down at that moment. And when you couple all of those things together, look at what we're getting today. AOC said it perfectly. It doesn't matter what the facts are. She doesn't care about what's empirically, semantically, mathematically correct. She cares about feelings. She said it on 60 Minutes.
She did.
So this is the entertainment world.
It's true. Absolutely. But but isn't there some, I guess, some value? And let me give you, I think, again, when I brought up before that they have Rush Limbaugh. I'll go the opposite now, which I think is the opposite side also politically. Jon Stewart, right? Rush Limbaugh, for a lot of people, right, got people to think, oh, the conservatives are kind of cool. Look, it's Rush Limbaugh. He says funny things, right? And then Jon Stewart did the opposite. He made, all the cool kids are liberals, right? Look, because they're all liberals. He made the cool kids that. Isn't there some value to that? To making politics cool or interesting versus just boring and no kid wants to watch it?
No. We've always had entertainers, comedians who have been Mark Russell, Chris Rock, Dennis Leary, just a couple names right off the top of my head. We've always had, we've even had parody and commentary from like Saturday Night Live back in the 70s and 80s when they were at their best. We've always had commentary from entertainers, but there was a separation, a clear separation of we're here to entertain you. And in that entertainment, we bring in this element, especially on the issues that are tough to talk about. But now we've gone the other way. It doesn't matter what's
hold on. I got to say a couple things.
Go ahead.
Miss Eve's with me and Lattina. She says Clinton roped me in on that too. It did. It was cool. It was, right? Patty says, that's how Bill got me. Yep. That was, we still remember. It was super cool. And look, I was young too. That's my excuse, right? An excuse they always go, I was young. I didn't know any better. That's my excuse too. I'm going to play the same game. I was young. Clark, were you fooled by that? Did you think he was cool?
No, I think I already knew that he wasn't. I grew up in Texas. He's from Arkansas. It's not possible that he's cool. But nice. No, but listen. I mean, whether you're a politician or a journalist, you got to earn the eyes and ears. You're in an environment that's very competitive, and what I think the best ones are able to do is to find where on the Venn diagram, they've got the best overlap, or they're not losing audience because frankly they're just not as entertaining as the next thing, but they're keeping that audience that actually kind of does want to know what's up, want to know what's going on, and willing to test their priors. I do a lot of public speaking, and I feel an obligation to make my talks at least somewhat entertaining and try to throw some humor in there, right? Yes. So you can do it. It can be done, and you can give a serious talk that is also entertaining. It's not easy to do, but the best of the modern kind of journalists manage to walk that line and strike that balance.
Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah, it's funny. Patty says news shows only consist of commentary and opinion anymore. And I think there's something valid about that, right? I mean, if you go back to the Walter Cronkite days, it was really much here's the news, even Nightline, right? Remember that? Which is news, right? Now it's here's something that's on, and let's see how bad the other guy is. And when it comes to Fox and MSNBC, if I'm on MSNBC, all I do is this. Yes, let me tell you why the thing that happened is, if it's good, was Biden's fault. And if it's bad, it was Trump's fault. And let me bring on somebody who will agree that either Biden good or Trump bad, or both. And Fox, the opposite's true, right? They just do that. But people keep watching. Is this the dopamine thing, Clark, or is this helping?
Well, it's a little both. Look, the news is not as valuable a commodity as it was 30 or 40 years ago because people already know what happened. They found out from Twitter or they found out from whatever social media feed. So the fact, that Israel launched a retaliatory strike against Iran, you can't play that at 8 p.m. Everybody already knows that it happened. So what you can do is offer a gloss on what people should think about, that happened.
Good point. Really a good point. I see where you're going with that. But there is something else, though, and Lattina brought this up. The Independent. And the independent news is growing. I mean, it's clear. I mean, the two big ones that I think of, top of my head, is like Breaking Points and The Hill's Rising. Are they really independent? Is The Hill really independent? Maybe-ish, kind of. No. Breaking Points actually is. It's actually going by subscribers. So that's actually because it is subscribers. The Hill is backed by other stuff. So I don't know. But it's independent-ish. And a lot of people get information from there. All right. I think Lattina has a valid point here. I think there is a place for people who want to pay the $4 a month or $3 a month or whatever to get good news. You're shaking your head no, Mike. Come on now. Let's go. What do you're not buying it?
No, because
oh, hold on, Mike. Oh my God. Someone else has joined us today. I am so happy. I did not know she was coming. I thought she was doing baby stuff, but I guess she's not. Maybe she got rid of her baby. I don't think so, but maybe she did. She'll tell us if she can. The one, the only, my favorite comedian of all time, Chrissie Mayer. How are you, Chrissie?
Oh my gosh.
You
Hi.
did make it. Fantastic.
Do I sound
absolutely.
Okay? Do I
sound amazing? Okay,
Sounds
I was going
good.
to ask a question. You still have a baby, right?
I did. Yeah, it was too late. I had to keep him. Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, there we got to keep. Okay, yes, I got you. Okay. Joel says immediately, Chris, he has to show us the baby. I mean, he is like
he's
ready
right now.
Good look. Oh, no baby. All right, see, how about that, Joel? You don't get to see it. That's it. Too bad. How are you, Chrissie?
Very sleep deprived. Parts of
Good,
my
so
body.
I'm going to force you to stay up another hour and a half because I'm just mean. Good.
No, it's all good. It's crazy. Every time I just look at his head and I'm like, how did I get that through my body? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I have such respect for mothers. I think mothers need a whole month. I think we need to do with Pride Month. I think we need Mom Month. I can't believe I gave birth. I can't believe I carried him. I can't believe he's out and I kept him alive for 12 days. Everything's a miracle.
I actually, I was there for both of my daughters being born, and I watched both, so I do know how that works. I have watched.
You watched them both, Larry?
Both.
Why?
Yes, I was there for both of them. Yes, I watched the whole thing, and the scary part, true story. My youngest one, the umbilical cord was caught around the neck. Ooh. And so I had to go to my wife and tell her to keep pushing. She was exhausted. We had to get her out. She had the second one was very tough. The first one was like easy. The second one was very tough. Labor a long time, tough labor. Yeah. I know for her it was. For her, the first one was easy. Second one was hard. I don't know why. It's just what happened. Wow. So I've got to tell her, keep pushing, baby. And I got to get her to keep pushing. And I can't tell her why because I don't want her to panic. So, right? So I got to be calm and get it. And it all worked out well, obviously. But I remember that having to go, oh, let me get back to the front now. I was holding her leg and I'm like, okay, drop that. Hey, baby, I need you to push. Come on, sweetheart, I need you to push.
Same thing with Frank. He was holding a leg. He felt like he worked a shift. He was like, I should be paid for the work I did.
I want overtime, damn it.
Yeah, he did more than he wanted to do. He saw more.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, yes, I am sorry. We're yapping about the stuff that has nothing to do with what our thing was, but it's fine. I just haven't told you about Chrissie, so I had to yap for a bit. We are talking, Chrissie, about how news and politics is entertainment and focusing on news. But I want to shift a little bit if I could. I want to shift to politics because, Mike, you brought it up. You brought up AOC talking about that. And as a libertarian, Clark, you'll know this. We know that our only libertarian congressman, Justin Amash, left. He left Congress. And when we asked him why'd you leave Congress? He said literally he could make more impact on Twitter. He said, yes.
Twitter.
I think it's crazy. He can make more impact on Twitter. He was a congressman. And I'm not talking on a turn. This is what he said. I'm not, he's going to be mad at me if he hears me say this. He's going to be like, yeah, that's right. He cares more about Twitter. It's more entertainment. This is am I wrong? This is a terrible thing, isn't it?
You don't have to put pants on to do Twitter. Just saying.
Good point. No, you're right. Yeah. I'm not wearing pants now. So yes, it is either. Same thing. Exactly right. Yes. Mike's not wearing pants either. It's totally fine. Nobody. Yes.
Of course I am. But here's the thing. He's right to an extent. In again, it goes back to we've taught the kids to pay less and less attention. Look at the headline. That's all you need. Obey. Don't question.
That's my biggest worry.
In that environment, then yes, Twitter is the perfect platform. Same thing with TikTok. It's mindless. It's mind numbing, in fact, because there's zero content. It's like candy. It is a candy. It's an eye candy, a mind candy.
You really can get people who will say things, will give you opinion. You can actually get, I mean, you also get like kids dancing around with soda and stuff, right? Of course you get that. But you also do get people who are going to say, hey, this is what's happening in whatever, Ukraine or something, right? You are going to get that too.
No. You'll get, again, you'll get the 30-second soundbite, that wonderful little boost, the adrenaline, the dopamine. You'll get a touch. But to truly intelligently and talk about anything in politics, you can't do it in 30 seconds. You can't do it in a minute and a half, which is the time segments that almost all news covering politics, they give you between 30 seconds and a minute and a half. You can't intelligently talk about any of those subjects. Clark, Lattina,
but hold on, though.
You guys, we all speak about this.
But long form is now a thing, right? When I consult with some people here that I do. And one of the people I consulted with was going to go on an interview on like The Hill or Breaking Point's place. And he's like, I got this, Larry. I said, no, you don't. He's, what do you mean? I said, you think you're going to go to a 6-minute thing on CNN or MSNBC, which they're going to ask a question, not care how you answer it, and they get pushed off to a commercial break. I said, you're going on internet news. They will hammer you for 20 minutes in a row until you answer that damn question. They will stay there for an hour and a half if you want. You can't do your dodging. It doesn't work. And then he went and he got beat up. He was like, Larry, you're right. So I think Larry, your point, go ahead.
That's not the norm. I agree with you that there are those outlets, and those outlets are great. I think all of us probably really get a lot out of them. But I go back to my earlier point. If a 10-year-old kid had access to literally any kind of food they wanted, and they could just conjure it out of thin air, would they be eating a lot of fiber? Would they be eating a lot of fruits and vegetables? No, they'd be eating fried food, ice cream sundaes, and dessert, right? So, and I don't think there's, I don't know that we should be throwing rocks at people about like that. We're hardwired as a species to take the hit. You don't know how long you're going to be around, so give me that dopamine, make me feel good.
Or some ice cream sandwiches.
Yeah, that's right. It makes you feel good, so you do it. And so, again, like critical thinking is hard. Challenging your priors is hard and uncomfortable. And most people just aren't up for hard and uncomfortable. They'd rather be soothed and entertained.
Missy says it, but sometimes people just want the candy. She's not wrong. She's not wrong.
Want the soundbite. They want to hear.
Oh, the soundbite. Yes. But don't we also watch 3 hours of Joe Rogan? Or 1 hour of Glenn Beck, or whoever is the person, or
not really.
For some people, if you're on the left, Hassan Piker, I mean, that guy streams for like 17 hours a day, and people watch him for 2-3 hours a day, right?
Okay.
TYT does an hour, 2 hours a day.
Now you're overdosing on candy.
That's the candy overdose. Chrissy, you do it. You do Simcast. It's hours.
It's a 3-hour show every Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern. I think for a lot of people, politics just seems, I think they view it the way I view crypto. It's just, I don't have the bandwidth. I don't want to learn about it. I don't know where to start. I can't get
Very good point.
So from our point of view, because we're all ingesting a lot of news and we're explaining it to people and we're used to talking about this stuff all the time. Most people are just like, they go to their job, they blow off steam, they watch the game, they talk to their friends, whatever, they drink, they make dinner, and then they do it all over again. So that is where you can maybe grab and pull somebody in with maybe it is through a TikTok or an Instagram video, something that breaks down these more complex themes a little bit at a time for these folks, because I think a lot of people just are like, I don't know where to start. I feel dumb. I don't want to be told that I'm wrong. I don't want to be told that I voted for the wrong person.
Good point.
But Chrissy, let me ask a question. I know you're younger than me and Larry. We're the old ones here. Everyone else is younger. And of course, Chrissy, you're significantly younger. But do you remember, even for yourself, let's go back 20 years, something like that.
I wasn't even born yet. No.
But I mean, I remember people were paying attention to the news more. Today, it's not that people can't do it. They were doing it. Then they stopped. It's like muscle memory. It's like working out. If you stop, then you fall apart. But if you just do it, and if you keep doing it, then you're fine. I used to be a stockbroker, and people used to always ask me, kind of like when I go and do speeches now, they're like, I can't get it. I don't understand it. I said, fantastic. Go and buy the Wall Street Journal every day for 30 days. At the end of 30 days, come back and tell me, do you understand this more? Not that you're perfect, not that you're a genius. Will you understand it? Yes. You want to understand politics? It's fantastic. Take 1 hour, stop watching the Housewives of wherever the hell because you don't care and they don't care about you. Don't watch 90 Day Fiance.
What about Love on the Spectrum? I love that show.
I don't even know what that one is. The other two I only know because of family.
People.
But you take out 1 hour.
Why do you hate autistic? Mike, that's all I'm asking.
Why don't you want them to find love, Michael?
Why don't you want them to find love, Mike? Why don't you want those to be able to find love? Everyone deserves love, Mike. Come on.
If you're on those shows, you're not looking for love. You're looking for.
That's a good point. Point taken. Point taken. Yes.
But it's like just take that hour.
Yeah, you're right.
But I would go one step further, though, right? I think you made a valid point.
Doing your homework part of it, though.
Yes.
A lot of us are hesitant to do our homework on anything.
But I remember that it used to be a thing. And what I mean by that is, to your point earlier, Clark, we couldn't get our news on our phones. That wasn't the thing, right? You had to watch the news at one point. And for my family, when I was growing up, it was the 6 o'clock news, right? So we would watch the 6 o'clock news, right? My parents would sit down and watch 6 o'clock news. And usually I would watch it with them if I wouldn't be around my dad or whatever, I'd be around. And then right after that, game shows came on. I remember right after that, whatever, Wheel of Fortune or Jeopardy or something come on. So, right, you'd have the 6 o'clock news for an hour, and then game shows would come on. I still remember that when I was a kid. That was a thing that happened. That's not a thing anymore. In fact, we don't even eat together as a family anymore, right? So I think that part has gone away. To your point, Michael, this isn't muscle memory for families anymore. This isn't muscle memory for people anymore, right? We get up in the morning and look at our phone to see what happened on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, right? We don't say, oh, it's whatever, 10 o'clock, put it on 10 o'clock news, right? And even if you watch the news, it's probably on as it comes to you, as Clark said.
And also 20 years ago, people trusted the news way, way more.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Things really fell apart the last 10 years, I think.
Absolutely.
A little more
than that. Yeah, I'd go more than that, right? Really. I mean, I think, and hold on, James says it. Let me see if I can get a good comment from James. He says, I heard Jesse Ventura say it best when he said, the downfall of news media was from the show 60 Minutes. Before then, the news lost money, but the networks made it all back with entertainment shows. When 60 Minutes shot up to number one in the ratings, the bean counter said, wait a minute, we can make money with the news? I'm not sure I buy that, but I get what he's saying. I do. I get it. Because there was a mindset prior to that news was a loss leader, right? And before you have cables, some people may not know this, but I used to work in radio years ago. Why does every radio station have news on the hour, regardless of what kind of radio station it is? Because if it's using the airwaves, the government says you must somehow provide social value. You must, or you cannot use the airwaves. So the way they do that is providing news on the hour. So that's why no matter, even if it's a music station, talk station, they put news on the hour, and that says, see, we are providing value to that's why they do that. So, but once you go to cable and CNN shows up, that goes out the window.
Larry, there is something important to be said, I think, about 60 Minutes, because it was it represented, I think, a sort of a transitional form of media. I don't know how many of you remember the McNeil-Lehrer News Hour on PBS.
I remember.
Man, that was straight news, baby. 60 Minutes was different. You learned something from it, but it was almost every segment on 60 Minutes was a story of good and evil, and it was told in the form of a mystery. You had to watch to the end to see what happened. How does the story end? And there was discernible good guys and bad guys, and we are hardwired to respond to those sorts of stories, and they cracked that code. And I think that was, again, it was sort of a transitional, or it was what news media and entertainment would become. You meld those together, and people want to watch your show.
See,
so blame 60 Minutes. It's 60 Minutes' fault.
No, I don't think so. You're right. I don't disagree with you, Clark. But I think the thing that broke the dam and really put us into this new direction, it's the day that Fox got on cable.
Ooh, okay.
The day that Fox got on cable. Now we have 24-hour news, and this was done by opposition to the mainstream, which is 90% left-leaning. So now we have a opposition voice that's on 24/7. everyone had to go to cable. They didn't have a choice. They had to have that left voice, and all of them came in steamrolling. So now we had this huge movement, and quite honestly, they're all doing the same format because Fox did it first. 3 minutes for everything. Everything fits in 3 minutes that we're going to say over and over again for the entire 24-hour cycle.
And the one thing that Fox did better than anybody, and now they all do it, you're right, but Fox was the one who, they'd have a show, right? The first show of the day is the Chrissie Mayer show. And Chrissie Mayer says, I think that guy Clark might have killed somebody. I think that's true. Then the second show was Mike. He's like, you hear that? People in the morning show talking about Clark, he might have killed somebody. And then the next show was Lattina. She goes, now people are talking, Clark might have killed this guy. Now I'm showing up. I'm like, it's everywhere on the news. Clark killed this guy, right? And all started because Chrissie got mad at Clark. That's what it started from. And now all four of us are saying it. And now to your point, Clark, now if I'm watching Fox News for 3 hours straight, I heard that you killed some guy 3 times in a row, 3 different people. You must have done it.
And it gives the hosts on the other side. Now everybody can be mad at everybody else, and that's when the dopamine really kicks in. You tune into whichever person has the perspective that you find congenial and that gets your juices flowing, and then as Michael said, you binge out on that.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And then sometimes if they're really slick, they'll actually have like one of their shows, like Brett Baer, as an example. He's actually solid news. He's just purely like real news, and he'll confirm or deny, but it doesn't matter because they've said it 15,000 times.
Right, exactly. Yes, it's irrelevant. Yes. All right, hold on. I got a couple of things I want to grab if I could. All righty. Let's see here. Joel says, all right. Larry just described astroturfing. Yes, that's correct. That is accurate. Yes, absolutely correct. Yes. He also says, hold on. Joel had a couple things. I got to find some more Joel stuff if I can. He says 24-hour news cycle changed news entertainment. That's what you were talking about, Mike. Mm-hmm. Once it became that back and forth. Yes. And lastly, Joel also says, I got to see Chrissie on a show last night, so I'm okay with Mike filling in. But he actually wants to see your baby, so he wanted to see your kids. Oh. Yes. No worries either way. So then, okay. I guess I've walked down this road of entertainment. But at the same time, if more people want to watch it, does that make it more valid? In other words, if 12 million people want to watch Joe Rogan, but only 11 million watch me, right? 12 million watch him, only 11 million watch me. Does that make Joe Rogan better, smarter, or anything? Does that matter? Does the fact that people say yes to him, does that make him more valid?
Only in terms of probably advertisers or what you can attract money-wise. But we all know small-time channels and creators or small-time like news folks that we listen to, not because they're big, but because we like their style or we trust their voice or they're, mostly correct most of the time. So it depends like who's seeing the value in it.
But I feel like though, isn't someone like Joe Rogan going to get, to be very forward, better experts, people who probably know more stuff because they all want to go on Joe Rogan's show, right? Isn't he probably going to get better experts or not?
Possibly. Easier reach.
If he's looking for that truth, what if he's in part of the echo chamber? Then he's going to push the echo.
Okay.
And that's kind of the problem there. And to answer your other part of that, okay, so 12 million people love drugs. Does that mean it's good? I know some libertarians will say yes. A lot of other people will say no. So
that's not true. I'm not saying drugs are good. I'm just saying drugs should be legal. That doesn't mean drugs are good. There is a difference. There is a difference. As you know me, Mike. I am straight. This is what I have. Coffee is my worst. My only drug is coffee. That's all I use.
I know.
Mormons are straight.
That mug is full of vodka.
There we go. Yes. I mean, I know Clark likes shooting up, but I'm not mad at him for that. It's fine. It's fine. I'm not mad at him for that.
No, but look, in serious, we are all individuals, right? And some drugs can be the right thing for some people. I mean, look, there are combat veterans who can't fall asleep without some sort, without self-medicating in some way, right? Yep. And many of them do it with cannabis, and there's a growing body of evidence that works well for them. Now, if your option is to lose your mind because you are being haunted by nightmares and not getting any sleep, that marijuana looks pretty good. On the other hand, if you're a working parent who's trying to keep, a roof over your kid's head and food on the table, and you're getting stoned before 8 o'clock every morning, then that's not probably the right substance for you. So, all of us are different, and we have different tolerances, different desires. But to ask whether Joe Rogan is more valid than, I don't know, Fox News, it's been like asking if a Big Mac is more valid than a Power Bar. They're different. They serve different needs. And sometimes, I just need a hamburger. I've had a bad day. I need a hamburger. And then other times, fine, hand me that Power Bar and I'll be off, to the races. But so we have to avoid painting with too broad a brush. But I definitely think that a consensus seems to have emerged that on balance, quote unquote news has moved significantly in the direction of entertainment, and it's probably not great for society.
Okay. So is there an answer? Right. So is there a thing where in the long run and I hope what I'm going to say is true, right? I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying I hope it's true. In the long run, does an alternative come out, maybe on the internet, maybe TikTok, whatever, that actually shows us with enough of a entertainment that we want to watch it? So we get a little bit of dopamine. We got to have some of that, Clark. I'm with you. A little bit of dopamine, but that actually gives us real info that helps us to deal with our life by knowing more about news. Is that real, or is this just going to be WWE for the next, 30 years?
Well, I'll take a first crack at that. I'd be really interested to see what everybody else says. Look, I know a lot about a legal device called civil forfeiture that you know about, Larry, that enables the government to take their property. I'll tell you what, John Oliver did an unbelievably entertaining and informative segment on that subject, and he knocked it out of the park. So it can be done. Now, this guy has an incredibly progressive, bent on things. I don't want to watch everything that he does because I know I won't always be getting the straight story, but on civil forfeiture, he told it straight. It was entertaining, and you would have come away from that knowing a lot more than when you went in. So it can be done, but it's usually not.
So maybe then with that in mind because I'm with you. I hate John Oliver's politics. However, I saw that too. And you're right. That was perfect. I completely agree. But I don't watch his show normally. I watched his show, as I told you guys earlier, because someone said, "Hey, Larry, you got to watch this one." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Someone told me I should watch it. So I went and I watched that one. And you're completely correct. It was amazing. Are aggregators then the answer? People who I go to Chrissie's show, and I'm not going to get the details off her show, but she's going to tell me what's going on, what's cool, and where to go, right? She's going to tell me, look, I don't know everything about civil asset forfeiture, but if you care, the show is this. Is that the thing?
Anytime you have someone who is they're oriented towards views or algorithmic favorability, right, or YouTube AdSense or any type of other advertiser, you're gonna feel the pull. Even on my own channel, I feel the pull because I see what does really well, and sometimes it'll be like a high drama topic or a high drama personality or a fight between two like high profile people, and so you feel constantly torn between what content do I want to cover versus like what gets the most juice. And sometimes like drama does get a lot of juice to your channel. So it just comes down to that person's, I don't know, I guess their authenticity, or what do they want to deliver to their viewers, like the cold hard facts, or are they going to like lean into the drama a little bit because that gets eyeballs?
Well, Clark was saying how what 60 Minutes did was it turned facts into drama, right? That's what it did. It turned facts into drama. And I think that's the key. People love watching those true crime things, right? It's what that is, right? It's literally 60 minutes, right? Latina's like, I love true crime. Yes, yes, absolutely.
I have an interesting thought on it. I want to hear what Latina says because I want to hear what Latina says first before I say something.
With regards to independent media?
This question. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, well, I support independent media. I think that you disagreed on that part. I feel like with independent media, they kind of touch on more topics on a more personal level, and they don't always make it about feelings. Like they report facts. That's how I see it. And
but doesn't independent media also sometimes fall into the same thing that Chrissie just said, right? If I want to be, and I do that, I'm sitting there telling you to super chat me. I'm sitting there telling you to join my channel, right? I'm sitting there saying click the like button. I'm doing all the things, right? So if I'm independent and I want to do this, right? I have a regular job during the day, so I got to go pay my bills. Mike knows that this is like a loss leader for me. I lose money on this, right? I make no money on this. I lose money on the show, but I do it because I love it, right? To Chrissie's point. But what if I said, no, I want to be whatever, Hassan Piker and just do this 9 hours a day like he does or whatever, right? And not work. Well, then don't I by default become that guy where now I'm like, what's YouTube going to give me money for? Or how can I get a sponsor that's going to give me money? Well, don't I fall for that anyway, Lattina?
Then you're not a genuine reporter. Like you're basically bought and paid for. That's the problem right there. It's like too many, people, they drink the Kool-Aid. Now it's like you lose your authenticity, and now you're going to your audience. And this goes back to you, Larry. I've said this before. Your content is very raw. It's
Thank you.
It's entertaining, and I need people who are going to continue to be consistent and not be bought out by the industry. That's the problem.
All right, so I'm really expensive. So if I get bought out, they were a big check. So I'm saying they were a big check. So you just know that all of a sudden, big check.
Russell Brand, for example. What do you think about Russell Brand? A lot of things that he talked about, it kind of ruffles some feathers in the industry. And
but see, again, he made his money before, right? Like Tucker Carlson, same concept. If you make your money already, you don't care, right? Right now, Joe Rogan can stop doing his podcast whenever he wants. He's not going to be starving, right? He's going to pay his bills. He'll be fine. So will Russell Brand. So will Tucker. Tucker's not going to be like, hey, Lattina, you got a job for me? He's not going to be doing that, right? He's going to be fine. So I wish one day I'll be there. If one day I'm there when I'm so rich, I don't care. I don't got to work anymore. Maybe that's when I'll do it. But until then, I think the average person is going to struggle.
Well, so here's my thought on it, because one, I love independent media because I am in independent media. And yeah, we still lose money on this. I do it because I have a passion, not because I'm rich. But the thing is, most of the media is losing its local aspect, its smaller aspect. There's no one there to tell you about what's happening in your local community or how the bigger news is affecting your local community. And that's what we're seeing off of the internet. Now, the things with like John Oliver, Russell Brand, Tucker Carlson, they're great for those segments when they stop being propagandist for their echo chamber. And that's when we all go, oh, yeah, he did a great job on that one issue. Let's go back to the internet and find it. But what people really are, I think, moving towards, and this is what the news media is terrified of. That's why they're fortifying the news right now. And we see that with Google. We see that with YouTube, is that people are going to names that they trust. And as long as they're being consistent and clear and informative, as Chrissie was mentioning, then people are going to keep coming to there. But when you start going, oh, here's the money, and this is the really wicked part of it. You're either really good, in my experience, and perhaps even for myself, you're really small, you're absolutely dedicated to the principle. You're doing it because you believe in it. You start making some money. Haven't gotten there yet, but this is what I tend to see. You make some money, you get into the middle range of that, and now you're being pulled into that echo chamber, into that money draw. And if you're really lucky, you get to be Joe Rogan. You get so big, the money doesn't matter anymore. But
let me go one step further, though. I got to go one step further with this one. And that is, and I think you can see this happening for many different people. And I'll go to Joe Rogan on this one too. Once you start getting middle level at all, in any way, people pull you in to the left-right paradigm, right? I see it in my politics. You know this, Mike. When I ran for office in New York, when I first started running, I'm some dude, nobody cares. All of a sudden, I'm polling at 6% across New York State. I got Republicans screaming at me all day long, Larry, become Republican, trying to pull me into one side, all left to right. When I was a nobody, I didn't care. I didn't care. As soon as I went to like the little middle area, all of a sudden, I'm the worst guy in the world because I haven't picked a side. I got thrown off the ballot initially by the Democrats and then sued off the ballot by the Republicans because I wouldn't pick a side. So they said, you can't pick a side, you can't play. And I think that also happens here too, as you start moving up. And here's the part. They attack you so much, the average person shifts. And I know people are going to be mad when I say this. Joe Rogan is not a right winger.
Of course not.
He's not.
Of course
he's not a right winger. I've literally met the man. I've been on the show. He's not a right winger. He's not. He's not a right winger. But the second he was not left, he was right. Does that make sense? Right? He couldn't be middle. They had to give him a side. And the problem was, Joe Rogan, he doesn't care. He's like, okay, I'm right, I guess, today. I don't care. So he'll just start bringing on right people, and which will then reinforce that he's on the right because he's bringing on right-leaning people because now they get the ideas right. So then they go on a show. So now he becomes that. And I found that when I was running for office again in 2018, I didn't want to have a right-leaning campaign. I didn't. It wasn't my goal. But the left got so mad at me, they attacked me as right constantly. So the right kept talking to me. So I kept getting on right-leaning shows with right-leaning people because they thought they was going to talk to me. So people thought, oh, he's a righty. I'm like, that wasn't my plan at all. And I think that happens often. They put you on a side so you will go into blood sport, so you will go into WWE, so you will create a drama that Chrissie was talking about. I think that's on purpose.
No, the mainstream, and this is what I call the fortification. The fortification.
Okay.
We heard them admit to that in 2020. They're doing it in 2024. And that's the reaction of the mainstream losing its power and its influence. You see, like as an example, many libertarians, you, Larry, and many others, you guys hit the, let's call it 5% for a number. That 5% that wins or loses a race. If the race is close, you have that winning percentage.
True.
And they want that winning percentage, both sides.
Correct.
And they want, so they have to either have you on their side or they have to demonize you as the opponent so that winning percentage, that they can account for it. Otherwise, they don't know what to do next. And that's why we see the fortification, which is why we see now, to try and avoid that, since they can't do that to everyone on the internet. That's why Google and YouTube came out this year in January and said, oh, we're going to overemphasize the mainstream news media, authoritative sources, whatever the hell that means. And we're going to downplay everybody else. If you touch anything with news or politics, you're being suppressed. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they're trying to press. For my channel, for me, when I go into the content, they're like, oh, don't you want to watch The View? Don't you want to talk about The View? Hell no. I don't care what those hags
Let me grab a couple of, let me go be that capitalist Tina's going to make me mad. I got to do a couple of super chats if I could. I got a super chat from the man himself, Frank Pellegrino. He says, Larry, you should start an OnlyFans, OF, Only Fools. He can show us how hard he gets screwed by the government. That would be entertaining. I agree. That'd be very entertaining. And I've got tons of stories. So that's a lot of content. It's true. That's a lot of content. I'm actually getting it. I'm getting it again because they won't let me on the ballot in New York State for libertarians. So I'm getting it again. So yes, the government, I'm obviously good at what I do. I'm probably a good sex worker because they just keep doing it. I guess I must be good at it because they just keep doing it. He's not wrong. So yes. John has a question for the panel. He says, Joe Rogan's comedy club in Texas. Do you think the average person attending is more Democrat or Republican? I feel there's a divide in going to see comedy. Chrissie, you've had this happen to you personally. What's your 2 cents on this?
Well, I know that the Mothership is kind of like a big destination comedy club. I would say probably the average audience member probably does lean more right of center.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even though it is in Austin, it depends.
It's a tough question, isn't it?
I haven't performed there yet. You have to really be in Rogan's kind of like inner circle to perform there. But I would guess because there is this element of like comedy tourism there. Despite it being Austin, I would say overall more right of center.
And that would be my point. I think that most people would say, oh, if I'm on the left, I can't go see Joe Rogan because he's a right-leaning guy, right? You get that, Chrissie. You had that popular story about those women who were like got mad at you because you said a trans joke.
Yes, yeah, they got mad at me because some other audience member in the crowd said like something about Dylan Mulvaney being a man. Because I said, why has it been a year of girlhood and still like why hasn't Dylan gotten implants yet? Like, no, why no tits? And then some other
Right,
audience
yes.
member was like, because he's a man. And I was like, yeah, because he's a man. And then like they kind of
They got mad at
started
you.
going at it. Yeah, they got mad at me. So
Yes.
I was so shocked. I was like, why are these women here? I'm like, they must have gotten free tickets because they didn't do their research.
Go ahead, Clark.
Well, I think about the nature of comedy, right? Comedy is by definition to be funny. It needs to be challenging, transgressive. It needs to cause you to question your worldview. And, that's not really allowed anymore on the left. And it's offensive. People don't want to be challenged. And they think if you are causing them to see the world in a way that's different than, the sort of the progressive dogma, that's to be condemned. It's not to be celebrated. You're not allowed to be edgy, and you're not allowed to offend people. Good comedy should occasionally be kind of offensive because we have to laugh at ourselves. And man, that's a group of people who don't laugh at themselves, and they don't laugh much at all. So I'm not saying that nobody on the left ever enjoys comedy, but they basically made it, a almost a capital offense to enjoy comedy too much, especially if it's genuinely transgressive, as opposed to just, stroking whatever shibboleths, or they currently hold up. And so, I don't know. I think it's a shame. Dave Chappelle got out of comedy virtually. There's a lot of comedians who won't play a college campus anymore. I think it's because the left has killed humor largely.
Well, what about? Hold on. Let me tell. Did you happen to see the South Park Into the Pandaverse?
Yeah.
Did you happen to see that?
Gay, make it a girl, make it gay.
In that, yes, exactly, yes, exactly. And in that one, it's I think that was was that one? Yeah, it was in the future. It's in the future, right? And Bomber is the comedian, and his jokes are this: he says a Mexican and a Puerto Rican walk into a bar, and everything's great because they are wonderful people. Ha ha ha! Ha. That's the entire joke. Like you can't say anything bad. You can only say that everybody's wonderful. That's what you can say. So it was actually pretty funny. So, Lattina, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. It's all right. I was just listening. When she mentioned the comment that she made for her comedy stand-up show, Chrissie, I had mentioned, did they try to Dave Chappelle you?
Ooh, no, not quite.
They yes, it did.
Didn't they attack you?
They pushed my merch off my merch table, and then they complained to the general manager. But that was it.
No, but didn't you get like maced or something?
Yes, I did get pepper sprayed at a show.
Here we go. Yes,
was it March, February?
March, and I thought.
So someone kind of pepper sprayed the area where we were doing a meet and greet, and then we all had to like rush out. And I personally, as a singular person, don't mind getting pepper sprayed, but I freaked out because I was pregnant, and I was like, God, this if the baby grows a tail because of this, I'll be so pissed. And there's a difference between like a center or a right-leaning audience or just a regular person at a comedy show versus like your typical leftist at a comedy show. They go like, if you go into a show with a chip on your shoulder towards a particular group of people, like let's say you're very angry at like white men or men, you have daddy issues or whatever the issue is. That's
the bad guys now. White guys are bad guys now, so it's fine.
Right. Some people go into a comedy show, and this is reinforced by what you see, who you see getting Netflix specials, who you see getting Comedy Central specials, who you see at comedy festivals like JFL, rest in peace. They went bankrupt. Who knew that they would go bankrupt from just booking the same kinds of people year in and year out? But there's a difference between going to a show being like, okay, I want to hear a certain group of people be shit on versus you go into a comedy show being open-minded.
Right.
You're like, everyone could be made fun of. And then there's some groups of people that come to a comedy show be like, I really want to hear you make fun of Puerto Ricans. I really want to hear you make fun of Italians. Like people will be sitting in the front, be like, do me next. So
yes, I've seen that. Like, mess with me, my people, do my people. Yeah. Like I've seen that before. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's the Christine folks who go into a show wanting only the bad guys or the bad group to be made fun of. And then when that doesn't happen, they freak out because their worldview hasn't been challenged by anybody in their lives, which is kind of amazing.
Christine says, went to a Kvan show. Kvan? I don't know who that is. Ann Arbor. Sat next to a Karen and her date. She watched the entire show with her arms folded. I laughed even harder watching her. Oh, Christine, nicely done. Yeah, but this goes back to the part that I brought up earlier with what I would call the Rush Limbaugh to Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart, when he was doing his show, most of it was left attacks right humor. There was someone who wasn't. John did have a couple very good segments also, right? Oh, sorry. She said it's Kayvon. Sorry, Kayvon. I do know Kayvon. Okay, that's
who that is.
Okay, that I know. Okay. But he did sometimes go off, but he was basically left attacked right. When he left, and the other guy, I forgot his name even, the South African kid, when he came on, he was terrible. His entire show was just, let's laugh at Trump. And we wonder why the show died, right? And don't get me wrong. There's times when you can crack on Trump and it's funny, but you can't build a show on attacking Trump. You can't do that. There are funny Trump jokes, but you've got to sprinkle them along with non-Trump jokes, right? So you got to do both. Yes, Joel has it. Trevor Noah. Thank you. See, my chat's smart. They know Trevor Noah. That's the guy I meant. He was terrible.
He was terrible. But here's the thing. Don Rickles, and Chrissy, you know comedy more than I do, but Don Rickles was a genius and was lauded because, yes, he was mean to everyone. He didn't care. He came in and you knew what he was going to do. Everyone in the room was the target. You look at left-leaning comedy today, the mass-produced, and in fact, it's supported. They're subsidizing this, like SNL as a great example, or Comedy Central now. This is subsidized, even though it's failing, because it's mean-spirited, it's angry, it is propaganda. It isn't about making people laugh. When Jon Stewart did it at first, he was funny. Because it wasn't so much, he had a spin, but the point was, here's the joke. This is so stupid that we're in that scenario. And it just happens to be the guy that he doesn't really like that much. And he told you that. So you're in on the joke with him all the way through. Now it's just, oh yeah, those people are evil. By the way, let's burn them. And you can laugh while they burn. That's not funny. That's why no one watches SNL. No one cares about them. No one's watching.
There's the other piece, right? The part that I brought up, which was the idea of blood sport versus platforming, right? And the point where if I even hear the other person, I'm bad for even hearing it, right? And I mean, libertarians do it too, to me, right? And libertarians are not supposed to be that way. But I'll bring on a communist, talk to the communist on the show, and I've done it more than once. If you watch my show, I will bring on left people all the time, socialists, communists all the time, and people will get mad at me. Why'd you bring him on? Why are you platforming him? Because a lot of Americans think like this person does. Literally millions of them do. Millions of Americans think the way this person does. So we should probably hear them out and try to get some kind of background on what they're thinking so we can have a conversation. I go out of my way doing that, and people get upset. I don't know. Chrissy, you do a similar thing. Like you'll bring on like someone who's like super Christian, and then like the next week you'll bring on literally an adult, actress. Mm-hmm. You do the same thing. Don't they get mad at you too?
Oh, all the time. Like how dare I talk to somebody who makes adult content, but then like how do I talk to someone like Melanie Mack who is Christian? But then she gets shit on too because she looks and she's kind of goth looking and plays video games and has a foul mouth, but she's like a big Christian. So I think human beings, we can't help but want to put people in boxes so we can categorize them and neatly file them away. And sometimes we go, all right, do I want to disregard everything this person says, or is this someone I want to listen to? And we all kind of have that bias to one degree or another.
Is this a self-defense mechanism to what you were talking about, Clark? Meaning that there's so much to understand. So I don't want to I don't want to do what Mike says. Mike makes me work. I don't like that. I don't want to work. So I'm not going to work because Mike is right. I don't want to hear that. So I'm not going to
read the Wall Street Journal.
No, not doing that. So instead, I'm just going to let Lattina tell me who's right and who's wrong. And she will tell me. And when she tells me that whatever Chrissy says is correct, whatever Clark says is wrong, I'll just dismiss whatever Clark says and just listen to whatever Chrissy says, because now my life is easy and I can just go off to my life. Isn't this a defense mechanism, Clark?
Well, I don't know if it is, but let's go back to this point. One theory of humor is that it presents an unexpected resolution to an uncomfortable incongruity. So there's something about the world that's a bit off, and then humor presents an unexpected resolution to that conflict or that tension. And again, people on the left don't allow that. They don't want that. They don't want incongruities. They don't want anything unexpected. You have to hew to the orthodoxy, and people who are willing to challenge you, people who are willing to offend you, are to be canceled and shut down. And I think that's why humor on the left is become so stale. It's just beating up whichever group is the out group this week. And who wants to see that? That's not entertaining, and it's certainly not funny.
All right, let me grab a couple comments. But before that, guys, let me ask my audience. Guys, if you're watching this and you like what you're hearing, do me a favor, click the like button. Click the button that is like. Do that now. If you don't do it, I'm going to assume that you are mad at Chrissie. That is my assumption. You do not like her if you don't click the like button. So you must do so now. Why do you hate newborn mothers? I don't know why you hate them. You are a bad person. So you must click the like button or you are that. If you're watching on Twitter, please retweet this or repost this, re-exit. I don't care. Read the thing. I don't care. Whatever it is, do it. If you want to super chat me, you can. Please do so. If you're watching on YouTube, you can also become a member. Click the join button. If you want me to sit here and be like Hassan and not have a job and literally just sit here and talk for like 10 hours a day, I'll do it. But you got to give me $4.99 a month, and then I will do it. So go ahead and do it if you want to. But no matter what, please follow these wonderful people who will give me a chunk of their Monday evening, if you would. You can follow 3 of them on Twitter, aka X, and one of them on Soundbites Live. No Soundbites Allowed on Rumble. You can also follow Clark at Con Law Warrior, Lattina Brown at Lattina Brown, and Chrissie Mayer at Chrissie Mayer. Also, all of their information is on the YouTube page and the Facebook page to see where they are on the link trees and such. You can check them out as much as you like. All right, so let me go back to a couple of comments if I could, because I've been sitting there doing this. You actually have a fan, Lattina. Roger says, run for a state legislature as an independent. Use the leverage to force. Oh, we lost her. I guess she got scared. She's like, I'm not running for nothing. She's like, that's it, I'm out. She took off. But he wants her to run, so she's got a fan. So that's one good thing at least. Okay, she's back. Yeah. Okay, I thought he said run for office and you ran. Like I ain't doing that again.
I'm so sorry. What happened? But no, I'm sorry. Repeat your statement.
No worries. Roger says he wants you to run for state legislature as an independent to use leverage to force a vote on an amendment to be placed on the ballot that transforms us into citizen ballot initiative state, so we can ratify our own amendments to the New York State Constitution. That is what he would like from you.
That's a good one. Does he have Twitter? I'm gonna have to look him up.
He does. You can check out Roger Meadow. He's on his show all the time. So yes, he's on his show all the time. Okay. And he's always messing with Mike. And he says it again. He goes, Michael, what are you talking about? And SNL has been funny since Murphy and Piscopo, bro. So
I agree, except
he's not wrong.
The classic was Belushi. Aykroyd Belushi.
Oh, that was classic.
The original.
Yes, that was classic. I completely agree. So I thought a couple of those were
cheeseburger.
That's right. The Greek diner. That's right. Yes.
Love that.
That was good.
No Coke, Pepsi. No Coke, Pepsi.
That's right. Yes. But Patty says the movie Don't Look Up showed it perfectly. The scientists on the news show say a meteor is going to kill us, and the news people think he's going to be too scary. I remember that movie wasn't great, but there were some good parts to it. I agree, and that was a good part. That the people on the news show didn't want to talk about the news because it was too scary. That was a good part. I agree. There, it was good. So, Ellis Barrio says for a lot of people, politics is a taboo. I'm not sure anymore.
No,
never.
Yeah, I think we're dating based upon politics. We're having friends based upon politics. Mm-hmm. We're taking jobs based upon politics. We're going to school based upon politics. I'm not sure. I mean, right now, if you go to Columbia, way different than going to, say, Liberty University. I mean, a little bit different in those two universities. I'm just saying, a little bit different.
Quite a bit.
So I don't think it's taboo. I don't. Lattina, you said you laughed. Is it? You agree or no?
I don't think it's taboo. When you mentioned Columbia, I was just thinking about what's going on over there now with the protests and just just really, really doesn't sit well with me, what's happening right now. So,
Well, hold on. I have a defender of SNL. David says, "What about Sandler, Farley, and David Spade? They were funny too. Farley was funny.
David's
Not on SNL. There's stuff outside of it. Yes.
Oh, come on. Farley did the live in a van down by the river. That's
great.
Classic. Come on. Mike,
And
you're
the
being too hard on Farley.
Chippendales routine with Patrick Swayze.
Chippendales. That's right. Yes. You being too hard, Mike.
Down
You
by the
being too
river
hard.
was very good. Yes. But,
Yes, that was good. Absolutely, that was good. So yeah,
But-
you know, Roger, I think you're wrong, Roger. I think David's right on this one. Roger's wrong. I like you, Roger, but you're wrong on this one. I got it down by the river. I still laugh at it. I still laugh at that one. That wasn't right.
Land shark cheeseburger still better. But to go to Latina's point and talking about and what we're seeing at Columbia, Yale, Harvard, Cornell, Binghamton University, we can go through basically all of the higher learning. No voice, no laughter, no speech. We heard about this, what was it, in 2012, I believe Jerry Seinfeld started saying, I can't go to college campuses anymore because I can't tell jokes.
Yes.
Chrissie, you probably know this a bit better than any of us here. Then I'd say it was about a decade ago, you stopped being able to go to the campuses to make the jokes because politics is real. And here's the big thing. It's a lie. We have always, as a nation, we have always talked about politics at the bar, at the dinner table, at our jobs. It was just that up until about 20 years ago, you could have the conversation and have someone say, and I think you're wrong. I think you're an idiot.
Right.
And go on with their life. It's only since roughly 2009, gee, I wonder what was transforming in America at that time, that suddenly, oh, if you don't agree, you must be an istinophobe. That's when the colleges started saying, you can't talk about it.
You are all the ists and all the phobes, Mike. You've been called them all.
Often and regularly.
Yes, exactly.
I've been called when they call me a Nazi.
Phobes too. Yes. I've been called the white supremacist more than once. It's true. Yeah. So yes, absolutely. 100%. I got all of them. That's true.
As they watch the video. It's like, yeah.
I'm going to explain this poorly, but it also seems like something that was not part of the deal 20 years ago. It's like the seeds of division have been sown so deeply. Not like I was doing comedy 20 years ago, but I feel like you could make a joke about gay people 20 years ago, and people would still be like, not be able to guess your politics. But now everything is like so divisive that if I make a joke about gay people or trans people, a certain type of person will immediately jump to, oh, you are a Trumper. And this is who you are, and I'm not gonna laugh because I have your number, and I've decided that you're the enemy. There's just that wasn't part of the deal, I think, 20 years ago.
No, I completely agree. Agree.
Billy Crystal made his career on soap, playing a gay man.
That was in the late 70s.
It was late 70s, I know, but still, it's you could laugh at jokes. People were funny, and it was completely political. What's the problem?
Yeah, I agree.
Larry, I think.
Go ahead.
I think it's not politics that have become taboo. It's the wrong politics. It's supporting the wrong party, the wrong candidate. Human beings have been around for 200,000 years. For 190,000 of those, at least, we lived in tribal groupings. We didn't create civilization in big cities until about 10,000 years ago. And it was a matter of life and death to be supported by your tribe and to be the enemy of the other tribe, whoever that may have been. I think in a very ugly way, we've rediscovered this fundamental tribalism that is encoded on us as human beings. 30, 40, 50 years ago, people played softball together who voted for different presidential candidates. They went out and had beer together, and they went to church together. There's a lot of social science that indicates that doesn't happen nearly as much anymore. And we have become much more tribal in our politics than we were 30, 40 years ago. So it's being in the wrong political tribe that is taboo.
No,
look,
100%. Because I remember there was a time where you can disagree on something and disagree about certain politics, still have a meal together today. They want to cancel you. They want to take your job. They want to go after your family. They want to attack you. It's like, how do we get to this point now?
We've made it to where the person who disagrees is literally the enemy, so bad that it's okay if I destroy them. So it's okay if that person can't eat. It's okay if they never have a job because they're basically a Nazi, right? Because they're not me. Basically, so it's totally fine if I do whatever I want to them. If I pepper spray a pregnant woman, that's completely fine because she's not the right kind of person or whatever that is. And as horrible as it is, I think that's real. I think that's a real problem.
And actual violence has become justified because we've convinced a generation of kids that words equal violence, so you can respond to words in kind with actual violence. And they don't think
that happened. I'm going to give you what I think happened. And I know Mike disagrees with me on this. He's heard me say this before, but I think it's true. I think the biggest issue actually with that, the big turning point for us was actually Occupy Wall Street. And I say that because Occupy Wall Street, in my view, was a righteous concept. The concept was righteous. The idea that there's a 1% that is screwing anybody over is a good concept. It's not based upon race. It's not based upon gender. It's based upon the elites of the world screwing over the little guys. And I said, I'm okay. I was down there. I was okay. I was like, this is not a bad deal. I like this one. This one I'm in. And when I got there, it was a bunch of hippies popping on drums with nothing that had no. You remember Lattina? It was nothing and no idea. You know what they were doing? It was a disaster. And so the elites went, wait a minute. This is real. If they figure this one out, we're in trouble. So I don't want to lose my money. So they said, I'll tell you what we'll do. Here's what we do. I'll tell you what we'll do. Here, okay, I got a plan. We'll hire some black people and some gay people. And we'll call like people trans, like not trans. Whatever. We'll do this. What do you want us to do? We'll have DEI training on how bad we are. We'll do that. And everybody went, oh, I'm on my drum thing. Oh, did we win? Oh, we won. Yeah. Remember the snapping they were doing there? Yeah, we won. And they said they won, and they got a bunch of a paint job on garbage. So they changed the words of everything. They didn't change the system at all. They just changed all the words. So I'll not call you a black guy anymore. I'll call you a person of color or BIPOC or whatever. I'll change the words on everything. You're still screwed. You still can't pay your rent. You still don't have a job. Your education is still garbage and costs you $1 gazillion. And the 1% keeps all their stuff, but we'll change all the words. And people thought it was a win. And when that happened, they used those words, to your point, Mike, that I know you agree with, they used the words to divide us.
Yeah.
And to your point, Chrissie, they made the words violence.
Yeah.
And now we're all fighting ourselves while the 1% still keep all the goodies. That is my view. Mike disagrees, but I think I'm right.
Well, wait a minute. I disagree in parts because you're like, oh, it's the 1% versus everyone else. It's really not. And that's the part where I'm disagreeing. And the Occupy move, it was about, how many people were there? That's how many different things it was about. It was useless. It was completely.
I agree. Useless. It fell apart. It was horrible.
There was nothing real about it in the first place. It was a gripe session that just got carried away.
But it was a real gripe. 1% still screwing us. It's still a problem.
There was like every gripe in the universe, but that's the point. This is the leftists just going out there and they're pissed at everything all the time. And they're always griping. They always have and they never stop to even laugh at themselves at some of the stupid things they do.
I was laughing at him, but I was there.
Huh?
I was laughing at him. I laughed a lot. Latina's laughing. She remembers how silly they were. It's true.
But I'm on the right. So, I thought it was the most hilarious thing. Well, look,
you usually have Christine, and Christine's on my side this time, Mike. She says they're distracting us while they loot the country. See? See? She's on my side. I got it this time, Mike. She's usually one of yours. I got you.
Look, it's not the 1%, but it is this unknown group, the same people who rank the equity in America. By the way, equity's evil. If you didn't know,
I'm not talking equity. I'm not talking. You and I agree on that. I'm not talking equity. It's not what I'm talking about.
So that's evil. But the same people who rank that are the same people who tell us words are violence, and you can't laugh at that. And if you did laugh at it, then you're an ist and a phobe. Who made that decision? Who said that I can't watch Abbott and Costello anymore? Who says that I can't go and watch Chrissie say a joke about black people or Hispanic people or straight men? Why not? Who gave them the decision to say, well, that's no longer in the ranking? That's no, that
as long as we're fighting each other.
Well,
so look, I got Patty too, Mike. Look, Patty says they got Aunt Jemima and the Lando Lakes native taken away, and my life is now perfect. Yes, exactly. Aunt Jemima came off the bottle.
Yeah, and guess who's still there? The Quaker Oat guy. He didn't go anywhere.
The white guy took over the whole time. See that? The white guy still gets get the cool stuff. Oh my God!
That's because he's putting fiber in your diet, Larry. He's there to help you. Hey, listen. Let me go to bat for the 1% if I could for just a second. There may
oh my God! You're gonna make us.
Yes, they need all the help they can.
There may be some parasites in the 1%, but you know who else is in 1%? The Obamas are in the 1%. Jeff Bezos is in the 1%. God bless him, by the way. So is Steve Jobs, or he was, right? Taylor Swift. My kids are going to see Taylor Swift next month. They're over the moon about it. She brings a lot of joy to a lot of people's lives. Even, Tom Cruise, I hate his politics. I like his movies. So, not everybody who's in the 1% is a bad person. Some of them have brought a heck of a lot of goodness and light and joy and utility to human beings. Are there some parasites in there? Yes. But keep in mind that the 1% in this country pay a hell of a lot more proportionally in income taxes than the bottom 55% or so. And it's wildly disproportionate. I'm not defending all of them. I'm just saying that many of them bring a lot of value to your life. And the next time you need something tomorrow delivered to your house without lifting a finger, think of life without Amazon.
Well, let me say, I don't mind them having a business. I'm not against them having business, making profit. No big deal. I just don't want them to stop me from doing that. And more importantly, the first and most important thing is I have the right to free speech. Don't get in the way of that. If I want to laugh at the joke, I want to laugh at the joke. If I want to have my entertainment come from the right, the left, or anywhere else, don't get in the way of that. That's where I have the problem.
And that's what the 1% jumping on that too. The 1% is capturing all the agencies to ensure the little guy can't move anywhere. The 1% is controlling all big tech and big pharma to make sure we don't have our medical freedom, to make sure big tech, to make sure we can't. This is already demonetized. I use the other N word. So this is already demonetized. So this is already gone. So already it's happening. So
there's more than
Dave
one
has a good
N-word?
joke though. Yeah, the Nazi.
Right.
Yes.
Right,
For
right.
demonetization, it's the other N word. Yes. Dave says, Larry, with Land O'Lakes, they removed the Indian but kept the land. Nicely done. Dave hit it with the jokes. You better write that one down, Chrissie. Write that one down. That's for your next show.
It down.
That's for your next show.
History repeats itself.
It does. So Adam says, so we got to trust the white man to bring us fiber. Okay. Hey, they're helping. The 1%'s helping. But no, the reason why I preferred the 1%, because to your earlier point, I think humans, you're right, are absolutely tribal, but we're not naturally racist, right? We're naturally tribal, not racist. So we can make tribes over anything, over Yankee fans versus Mets fans, right? It doesn't matter what race you are for that. It doesn't matter where you come from. I mean, clearly Mets fans are worse. I'm just saying it doesn't matter. We can make tribes any way we want. But the 1% wasn't about tribes. In other words, if you went down to what I thought was great about that whole protest was it wasn't racial. All different groups, all different people, a lot of people were there. So I liked it because it wasn't based upon race. It was much more based upon the idea of 1% versus the rest, which if I'm going to have a movement, I prefer that one is all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I prefer that one.
I'd rather have people who are actually, about something, have a purpose. But because I just don't agree. It was useless. Be useful.
It was useless, but the idea was good. So yes, AJ says, love your show, Larry. Mega libertarian dittos. Oh, nice. Do you guys know what that's from?
No.
Rush.
The people who liked Rush Limbaugh. People who would go on Rush Limbaugh's show would always say, love, blah, blah, blah. And since they would go so long, he said, please don't say all the cool things. Just say ditto. So people would say, hey, Rush, ditto. So he's doing the ditto thing for me. So thank you so much. And Christine says, we love Chrissie. Aw,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you have fans.
I have a
You
fan.
have fans. Yes. So yes. Hand shot first is clicking like twice. Thank you. I don't know if it counts twice, but that's good. The emotion does make me feel good. So I do like the emotion. So I think good. That sounds like a good thing. I'm happy about that. So Donna says, Larry, you are very informative and interesting. During COVID, you were one of the same voices with info. And the
Just
funny part
during
is,
COVID, not after.
yeah, not now. I'm useless now. So yeah, but you know, but then I was good. But the funny part is that's when I got shadow banned. The second I started talking about the lockdowns, my views, I used to get one now I stream on 8 platforms. I stream on 1 platform, I get 5,000 views one show. Now I stream on 8 and I rarely make 5,000 on 8. And then all happened overnight. And my daughter, who's a teen, she's like, Dad, no, that's not how it works. You just suck. You're just bad at something. I said, okay, here's my YouTube page. Here's my credentials. Go check my stuff. She checked it. She's like, wow, they shadow banned you. I know. I know. Literally 90% drop during that time. I had to start doing everything differently to try to get that back. It was really, really bad.
That's why I'm going to start doing breastfeeding content. That's all the rage. Yes, I'm gonna.
It is.
I would imagine.
Yes. Yeah, but wait a minute. Maybe I'm not the only one who needs the OnlyFans now, Chrissie. Be doing that. Maybe both of us need OnlyFans at that point. I think we both got to do it then. I'll do mine. Oh, we'll rotate. Oh, we'll do a joint.
Hot takes while I breastfeed. Yeah,
that's correct. You'll have hot takes.
Won't know what to do.
And I'll
maybe
be
a winning formula there, Chrissie.
Watch the government.
I can see millions being made that way.
With me. Have its way with me. I bet it will. So I guess I do want to fall back to the piece that I thought was the most important. What's the future? Is the future a spot to where we just go? The reason why I bring this up is I saw something last week. Some of you may know a guy named Frank Luntz. You guys know Frank Luntz?
Yeah.
Frank Luntz, one of the most impressive and best pollsters literally in the world. One of the best. He wrote several books. What Americans Want, stuff, and Words That Work. Brilliant guy. Met him a couple times. He's amazingly brilliant. He was on either CNN or Fox or some show last week, and he said, "I'm really worried," because he does polling. Again, one of the best pollsters on the planet, one of the best. And he said, "We are so divided now." He says, "I don't know if there's any coming back." He's like, "I'm so worried." Like if I remember, he considered buying land in New Zealand because he was so worried about a civil war popping up in America. That's how worried he is. So I asked that question to you guys. Are we in a spot to where eventually there's going to be a news funnel of some sort that doesn't continue to divide us, that doesn't continue to put us into an echo chamber, doesn't just encourage blood sport?
Go ahead, guys. I got an answer on this, but go ahead.
I do have faith because I was a brainwashed man-hating feminist kind of in college. So, and I came around just by getting older and living life and getting
by meeting me on Fugelsang's show in 2018. That changed your life forever.
I was gold-pilled. That's true.
Gold-pilled. Correct. Yeah, we actually did meet on Fugelsang's show back in 2018. That's actually true. We did.
I don't even know if he would have me at this point, but he was always very cool and like welcoming of different opinions. His hair's gotten very long though.
Yes.
And I know that
I was with him on News Nation about a couple months ago.
Oh,
and
really?
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's how we talked. Remember, I told you about it that we talked about you.
Oh, that's so cool. All right, maybe he doesn't hate me yet. I just assume everybody hates me now. And I came around, and I was a hot mess. And I look at today's like youth, kids in their 20s, and I go, all right, well, they're even messier and even more kind of vocal and with social media. Like, oh, I hope they don't embarrass themselves too much. But I think good old age and living life is going to turn around a lot of these kids around.
Well, David says, I started watching Larry during COVID. The whole pandemic really reinforced the returnism in me. Yeah, a lot of people were watching me then. I was valuable then, not anymore. But I was. We need a new set of lockdowns. We need to make some cash on this. That's my thing. All right, come on, Mike. Let's head over to China and make some stuff. Come on.
Well, I hate to bring everyone down. Yeah, there's going to be a civil war, and yeah, they're going to keep. They're going to, because they can't.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
Stop. Well, hey, but they can't stop the censorship. They can't stop whittling us into. But we're seeing in the colleges, the whole point is that you're no longer a human being. You're just a category, and those categories have a rank. And they can't get away from that because they've built a whole political system around it. They built entertainment around that. And if they change that, if that suddenly goes away, they lose all their power. They have to keep going there. And if you keep going, dividing people into categories and treating them like they're not humans.
Yes, but let me give you a little bit of pushback, though, all right? And I think you see it. I know I don't want to bring up, don't yell at me. I'm going to bring up DEI. I know you hate DEI.
I hate DEI.
I know you do. However, there is some pushback even now. There is some. You are seeing people go, wait a minute, this isn't working. You are seeing companies change. There is a shift. I even see, but not, you see it even in polling. I'll give you the best that I can give you, and you know this. Black men. If you go back 20 years, 99% of black men are voting Democrat. Maybe 98. But 90% something are voting Democrat. Now, that's not true anymore. There's the recent poll saying 30% of black men are considering voting for Trump. And that's a massive change compared to 20 years ago. That's night and day change.
No, Larry.
I think it could turn.
No, Larry. What you're seeing is people shifting on which part of the division they want to be in. It's not the removal of division. We're not seeing the colleges change. We're not seeing the newsrooms change. We're not seeing the policies from Google, YouTube, from the internet overlords. They're not changing. People are picking different sides. Some are going to libertarians. Some are going to the right. Some are going to the left. Some are going, and they're picking different sides. They're, in fact, being shifted into different categories. Sometimes because even if you don't want to, you're just being thrown there because I went to see Chrissie Mayer and I wanted to laugh. I just wanted a weekend to enjoy myself and laugh. Oh, you're on the right. You're a Trump or whatever the hell that's supposed to mean. Yeah.
All right. You got Christine back. You're doing something right. Christine came back. She's back on your side again. Unfortunately, I think Mike was right. You got her back. I had her for like an hour, Mike. I had Christine, but I lost her again. All right.
I'm just good at what I do, man.
Hey, Larry, I got to go tuck in a kid. Can I just offer my thought before I go?
Before you do that, please do me one favor before you do that. Tell people where they can see you and what you're doing.
Yeah, you bet. So as you said at the beginning, I'm the Senior Vice President of the Cato Institute here in Washington, D.C. You can check out our work on cato.org, and also check out my Twitter feed at Lacan Law Warrior. So what I'm going to say is this. There's good news and bad news. The good news, I'm going to front load it, is almost everybody gets predictions wrong. People, when it comes to reading trends and saying what's going to happen 10, 20 years from now, people basically do worse than random chance. So that's the good news, is what I'm about to say is probably wrong. But here's what I'm going to say. The natural condition of mankind, of human beings, is not peace and respect and the rule of law. Those have to be earned. They are earned through self-discipline and enlightenment. I think that the leading qualities of our age here in America are complacency and ingratitude. We take things for granted. And what we are learning, I would say, what has been just our faces have been rubbed in the following fact over the last 2 years. There is savagery and evil in the world, and it has left its cage. It is on the march. And if we don't shake off our complacency, if we don't rediscover those virtues that I mentioned before, peace, respect for each other, and work together, I'm very concerned about what's going to happen when we have to square off against that evil that is on the loose in the world. And I say that as a libertarian. I am not a hawk. I'm not a militant. But I absolutely do believe the old saying that the best way to ensure conflict is to demonstrate weakness. And I think that's what we're doing right now.
There we go.
Good point.
Clark, I want to say thank you, brother, for coming. I really appreciate every minute you gave me. It was a great show. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon.
Such a pleasure. Thanks for having me on, Larry. And Chrissie, Mike, good to see you.
Bye, Clark. Nice to see you.
Alrighty. We already lost, I think, we've already lost Lattina. I don't know. Maybe she's got to put a kid down too. Everyone's got to put kids down. I think it was
her connection.
Oh, was that it? Okay.
I think so.
Either way, all good. All good. So So let me pop this up this way if I can. There we go. Much better. There we go. All right. So what do you think, Chrissie? Is Mike and Clark right? Is the world ending, or am I right? Is going to be okay?
I would like to think that it's going to be okay.
See, thank you. Take that,
Yeah.
Mike.
It's not like I want to be right. I want to be wrong. I want people to say, I don't like what Mike's saying. Let's do something.
Into the fence. He's with you. He's like, right on, Michael. He's like, Civil War's coming. He's with you. You're winning the audience tonight, Mike. I don't know what's going on. You're winning the audience tonight. That's
not
it.
Roger.
Not Roger. No, yeah, you're not. Yes, you're not winning Roger. But you don't really ever win Roger, do you? Not really.
No.
So, Chrissie, before we go, I've got some more comments. I want to grab a bunch of these. Please tell everybody what you're doing and where they can find you.
Oh, well, I'll just be breastfeeding for the next 6 months. No, you can watch my show on YouTube called Simcast. It's every Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern, and also my show on Compound Media. I have a little bit of a maternity leave now from Compound Media, but my show, The Wet Spot, is every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern, compoundmedia.com. And I will be Zooming, Skyping in every Monday just to check in. And then I'll eventually be back to doing Friday Night Tights every Friday.
Nice.
Always good to see you there.
4 p.m. Eastern on Nerdrotics YouTube channel. And yeah, just trying to do little streams here and there when I can. It's wild, this whole keeping a baby alive situation that I found myself in.
And thank you so much for giving me this evening. I know it was tough, so thank you. I always love seeing you. You are my favorite comedian. I'm so happy that you're around. So thank you.
Love
for that.
you, Larry. Thanks.
Yes.
Nice to meet you too, Michael.
See, everybody's competing to have the baby on with them. This would be the first.
Yes, I know. I wanted to too.
Superstar. I tell you, everybody wants to be there with you and the baby.
The baby.
And of course, I mean, look at the mom. The baby's got to be just as beautiful. No doubt.
There we go. Nice. Mike, tell us what you're doing.
I do political commentary for 18 years every Sunday. I'm in year 7 right now, even though it says season 6, it's year 7. Every Sunday, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I spend a minimum of 2.5 hours, usually somewhere around 4 to 6 hours, going into the details of how did we get into this mess, what's happening right now, and what's probably going to happen next. I've got about, in terms of the international politics, I've been running about 85% since 2020 in terms of my predictions.
So we should all follow
doing something right.
On Rumble, no sound bites allowed, and please follow Chrissie at Chrissie Mayer. A couple more comments if I could. Chrissie, you have fans. Erica says,
yay, I love Erica.
So fun. There we go. Absolutely. Handshot First says, I'm on Team Chrissie. Look at that.
Good.
I like it very much.
This will be good to know for the Civil War. Who's on what team?
100%. Yes, absolutely. 100%. Patty says, polls are always skewed nowadays, Larry. Agreed. But she goes with something else, Mike. She's on my side in this one. She says, all around me, colleges are closing. So maybe there's hope, boss. See? Maybe.
Consolidating, not closing. They're consolidating.
See, he had an answer for that one, too. Damn it. He had an answer for that one, too.
I do my homework.
Like that. There we go. Joel says, there was 1 week during COVID where I agree with Andrew Cuomo's words and actions. And I like that you said it because, I go back, what Chrissie's talking about, too. There was a time when I bought what the government said, right? I thought it was right. I agreed. I think we all at one point start to think, wait a minute, is this, I think many of us had that same thing. And I was there too, don't get me wrong. I was a guy. When I was in the Marine Corps, I was like, whatever they tell me, that's the bad guy, kill him. I was that guy. It was no doubt. I was 100% on board the whole time.
So was I. And then I got at the Marines and I said, no.
Yes, same thing. That's when I began to change when I got in the Marine Corps. Me too, right? But when I was in the Marine Corps, I was all on board. So yeah, I definitely get that. I think a lot of people feel that. And I'm glad you would be open enough to say that. Absolutely. Calvin says, Larry Sharpe, I hope you'll consider running again for New York City mayor in 2025. I would love to, but sadly, I'm fighting to get ballot access. So I'm not sure I'll be able to, but I do appreciate that. Guys, before we go, anything you want to say to wrap this up? Michael, tell me something to wrap it up. Anything good? Chrissie, something to wrap this up?
Don't bother recycling, and the world is flat.
Done. How can we not? Guys, don't recycle, world's flat. She's right. And next thing, when this show is over, wherever you are watching it, whatever you're on, if you're on Twitter, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, come back later and put a comment. You got to put a comment on why it's good for the Al Gore rhythm. That's why. So please keep Al Gore happy. Keep him happy.
That sounds like a new dance craze.
It is. Yes. Exactly right. 100%. And by the way, birds aren't real. Also true.
Nope.
Guys, I will be back on tomorrow at 1 p.m. at my radio show, live. Call in if you want to, WYSL. We'll also be on Wednesday, talking with someone who actually is much further left than I am, Dan from the internet, discussing how to fix our urban centers. I will see you all